topic for today's session is mental resilience during crisis. And to deliver the talk, today we have with us Dr. Anju Chawla, who is an internationally certified emotional intelligence coach, assessor with 16 years of experience in corporate and institutional coaching and training. She is also an author of the book, The Emotionally Intelligent Coach, and a speaker in the same area. Her accolades include recognition from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and Holistic Impact Award 2019 by NCCN. For the convenience of everyone, we would be happy to take the questions at the last and would request you to please enter it in the Q&A tab. Now, without taking any more time, I would request Dr. Anju to please take over from here. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. A warm welcome to one and all, and tons of gratitude for your time and effort to make yourself present here. I can see all of you smiling, and if you are not, then please smile, because smile covers miles. And I'm delighted to deliver on a much needed topic today, that is mental resilience during crisis. Pedagogy, as is shown in the slide, will be very, very simple. You must know what is resilience. You must know why is resilience needed. And we will also touch base with how can resilience be acquired. We all love listening to story, don't we? And here I begin to take you in your childhood for a moment. Remember, we learn the best with childlike curiosity and openness. Do not worry about the slide for now. Just keep your heart and mind open. Please listen to my story for a moment, just like a child, just like a bedtime story maybe. There lived a man who was labeled mentally slow by his teachers. And somehow, as the time passed by, he managed becoming a newspaper hawker and finally an employee of Western Union, but seriously, for he was slow in doing things. Phonograph was his first achievement that we know as record player today. He was the one to develop first commercially viable electric light. Who is he? Any guesses? Please key in your guesses. And my dear moderator friend, please read out those guesses for me. I encourage all the participants to key in your guesses about this person. My dear moderator friend, you will be my eyes for now.
Yes, we have few suggestions. Edison, Benjamin, okay. Albert Einstein.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I see an august crowd here, huh? So certainly, he was Edison. Now, many of you will be pondering as to why did I bring in this anecdote? We all know who Edison is. So what is the big deal? Each one of us cannot be Edison, but Edison could become the Edison because he practiced an approach. Friends, any shout out for what approach did he follow? And my dear moderator friend, I'll again request you to be my eyes. Please key in what approach you think the Edison followed.
We have the few responses: fail fast, never quit, consistent trying, try and try again.
Brilliant.
Every failure is a new learning.
Wow. So I see the enthusiasm. A big round of applause for each one of you. Those who keyed in, those who were pondering, those who have just joined us. A big round of applause for each one of you. You can just hear those applause in your brain. So yes, certainly, none of you is wrong and most of you are right. But then a narrative might be playing in your head. Edison, seriously, the Edison? Why is she even telling us the story? All right, let me talk of a common man named Mohan. He was born and brought up in Delhi and belonged to a middle-class family. A large family of 4 sisters, 3 brothers, and parents. And he was the eldest son, but 5th in siblings. He grew up in all possible adversities, wherein he will witness arguments at home between parents, between the siblings for various reasons. He would be forced to go to father's shop than his studies. His urge to study was undying. He will study, rush to shop, come back, home, witness all chaos due to lack of resources in the family, deal with it. By sometimes arguing or avoiding, ignoring or compromising, he would use all these tools in his armor. He grew up, got married, and somehow started off with his business. Those days, there were no venture capitalists, my dear friends, and interest rates were very high to procure the startup amount. He was married and had responsibilities. He arranged for funds by trading many different products, moving from one place to the other. His dream was to set up a manufacturing unit. He finally managed to set up that manufacturing unit at a small scale. Business was picking up with its own share of issues like power issue, machinery issue, labor, wages, raw material, and whatnot. Each day, as a habit, I repeat, each day, as a habit, Mohan will jot down what needs to be done and in what order. He will spend a lot of time on chalking out the day's plan. Not that things then wouldn't go wrong. They will certainly go wrong, few of them, not all of them. But he will again ponder over what can be done now. What is not to be repeated because it did not go right. In a decade's time, he owned 3 factories of steel wire, owned a house, and was blessed with 2 daughters, and wife was a homemaker. Just when things seemed to settle down, master plan of factory was implemented, which resulted in sealing of all his 3 factories in less than a week's time. Isn't that a shocker? Did he deal with it? Let's see. He was back to square one in assets, but liabilities of wages, family was increasing. He had those liabilities. And the liquidity was nil. For the first time, he took loan. He was a person who would never ask for money, rather build money by any which ways, ethically of course. But for the first time, he showed the syndrome of bending down and taking loan. And since he needed it real fast, so he could not apply to bank, he rather requested one of his acquaintance at higher rate of interest that, okay, please lend me this much of amount and I'll pay you this much interest. He looked for an industrial location simultaneously, which took him a month. Each day he will leave his place at 6 a.m., come back by 12 a.m., have dinner, sleep, and the cycle repeated. Whenever daughters will ask, Papa, are you sad or tensed? He'll reply, no, I'm thinking. In less than 3 months, he not only bought an industrial plot, but also started production. In the meantime, he went back to trading to arrange for funds. Guys and girls, I'm sure you are listening to it and the climax is still awaited. So just like Thomas, Mohan also had his share of troubles, failures, but only one thing kept him going. Any guesses, my dear friends? What is that could keep him going? Please key in your answers. And my moderator friend is my eyes.
So
What
confidence,
kept him
goal,
going? Yeah, lovely,
positive attitude, ambition, hope.
fantastic. Okay. My
Absolutely.
ears are still itching. Hope, that's a very important emotion. Yes,
Yes.
yes. So my
Great
dear
part.
friends, lovely, very nice. Now, my dear friends, without further ado, let me announce that the approach which knowingly or unknowingly both Thomas and Mohan followed was an ability known as resilience. Edison or Mohan faced failures but did not stop or crib. They would rather chalk out the resources that can be used and what is the optimum way to use these resources. Are you all with me on this, that this was resilience, or you still have doubts? If you have doubts, say doubt. If you have no doubt, then say all clear. Please key in doubt, all clear. Quickly.
So again, we have a mix of responses: doubt, 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 all clear, all clear, all clear.
Very nice, very nice. So doubt or confusion is the precursor to learning. And people, those who say all clear, I'm so glad to have their support in the session. And let me open the floor of what is resilience in terms of definitions, in terms of your resilience. Allow me to move further when I say what is resilience. How many of you can see in all these 6 pictures? Just say yes, 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 no, no, no. How many of you can see these 6 pictures? Which of these images can you see 6 pictures? Moderator friend,
So
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Fantastic. So it was a trick question. And there was no possibility that you could not see either of the image. All right. But now the question is, starting horizontally from the figure which has a girl's face half covered under a sheet, moving to the water, coming down to the desert, moving to a maze. I'll request each one of you to spot which of the picture is a danger for you or is an opportunity for you. So you can simply key in answer like 1, O, 2, D, 3, whatever. So but please key in your answer in one go so that we have a fair idea as to
So
is the D maximum.
So
Sorry?
5 is danger.
Okay.
1 is O.
Okay.
So 3 and 5 are danger.
Okay. Lovely.
For some, 6 is also danger.
Okay. Okay.
Opportunity is second.
Awesome. Awesome. So can we just take up one volunteer and give him some time to talk about why he or she felt something to be a D or something to be an O? Can we take any volunteer with your permission?
I think Dr. Anju, it's not possible to unmute
No
somebody.
problem.
Yeah,
No
please.
problem. No
Thank
problem.
you.
No problem. So my dear friends, few of you took, let's say few of you took this picture of maze as a danger or somebody took it as an opportunity. Do you realize what model did you just practice in your mind while deciding for whether it is a D or an O? You just followed a model which is a reflex for us now, and that is stimulus response. So how do you do that? There is a stimulus which gives a response to you of, let's say a ball is coming near to you. What do? You either flinch, you try to catch, or you dodge it. That's your response. Now somebody catches it, somebody dodges it, and somebody flinches. There is something in between stimulus and response. Any ideas what is it? Between stimulus and response, there is something which makes you take an action of either dodging, of catching, or flinching. Any idea? Any guesses? Please key in your responses.
So
Any responses?
choices,
Yeah.
behavior,
Wow.
center
Lovely.
of concern,
Okay.
analysis, idea.
This is something really fantastic. So
Yeah,
certainly.
absolutely. So we have an amazing guest.
Absolutely. I'm so sure, and applaud.
Absolutely.
Yes, so virtually, please listen to the applaud, which is specially for you. Yes, choice. Between stimulus and response, there is something called choice. And it is the choice which will make you take some action. still the definition of resilience, you're looking for that, it is not yet clear, that is how I generally proceed. Because if I give you a bookish definition, your mind stops there. But I really want you to venture, visualize, go back to some kind of an action that you just took. Think about it. Was it by choice? What kind of a choice? Was it a planned choice, or you just had to take it? Think about it. Keep visualizing while I move forward and help you give the conceptual clarity of the two keywords of our sessions, that is resilience and crisis. I'll give you a phenomenon. And my question to you is, what do you call this phenomenon? And the phenomenon is, how well do you respond to an unexpected turn of events? What will you call this phenomenon? The way you react or respond to an unexpected turn of events. What will you call that? Please key in your responses.
Courage, fear, reflexes, reaction,
Awesome. Awesome.
flexibility, anxiousness,
Okay.
alertness,
Okay. Brilliant,
fear,
huh?
of course, reflex,
I'm
calm.
so loving the enthusiasm of the participants. Thank you so much, participants. I mean, it is the input of participants that keeps a speaker going, especially in the virtual session.
Absolutely.
So great, great. Coming to what exactly this phenomenon is called, this is called resilience. Resilience is the ability to mentally or emotionally cope with a crisis, or to return to pre-crisis status quickly. You know, it is something like, I'm driving, and I take a wrong turn. I land up somewhere and I'm like, oh, where am I? I can crib around it because that was unexpected. I thought I knew the way all around. I thought that I knew the way but I just took a wrong turn and I landed somewhere which was so unexpected. I can crib, I can damn my stars, or I can go back to that position from where I feel I went wrong. That's one way. Or second is, now since there is no U-turn, I'll have to go and go and go. Now see, what can I do? You know, it's like a expressway on the US. So there is no exit. Once you have taken a wrong turn, the exit is maybe 20 miles away. So what do? You'll have to keep moving. And that's what resilience is like. Resilience exists when the person uses mental processes and behaviors in promoting personal assets and protecting self from the potential negative effects of stressors. Too much of a definition. And that's why I'm not a big fan of definition. So I requested you to visualize a situation wherein you had a choice. Of course, we all have a choice. So to attend this webinar also was your choice. You could have chosen not to attend, but you chose to attend. And that's why we are sharing what we are sharing. Anyways, resilience in terms of crisis is what we are talking about, to be precise. And the concept of resilience is bouncing back, not enduring anything. Okay, I've taken a wrong turn, fine. Am I enduring the burnt of it? No, I'm moving ahead because I know that there will be some turn which will bring me back to my right place, but I have to keep moving. So that's resilience for me. So what is crisis? Crisis is a time of intense difficulty or danger. We don't call everything a crisis. I'm feeling thirsty. I don't have a water bottle right in front of me, but there is water bottle in the house. That's not crisis. But I'm feeling thirsty. I don't have water bottle in the house, and I cannot go out of house. Why? Because every shop is in the non-working hours right now. So, and I'm feeling very thirsty, as if my breath will just get over. So yes, that can be a crisis for me. I hope the two concepts, one resilience, another crisis, in the context is clear. Please key in yes, no. Please key in yes, no. Resilience is the
Yes,
ability
yes,
to bounce
yes.
back. Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much for being there. And crisis is something which is a time of intense difficulty or danger. And my dear friends, our brain is such a monkey brain that it alerts us for a danger very, very quickly. In fact, it alerts us for a threat also very, very quickly. So most of the time, the brain operates from a crisis mode. No, many a times you must have heard yourself saying, oh, this has happened again. Oh, this is so difficult for me to manage every time. But it may not be that difficult, just that you are giving that commandment to your brain, and that this is where resilience says, oh, so you don't want me to come on the play. You want to give a narrative to yourself that it is so difficult. It is so difficult. All right, keep giving this narrative. It is so difficult. You're not able to see the resources around, and the brain is talking to you. Can you hear your brain talking to you? Somebody, the internal dialogue popping up in your mind, taking you to some kind of event, incident in the past or maybe present? Can you hear some kind of an incident for yourself? Just key in a yes or a no. The brain talking to you. There's a continuous chatter happening in your brain.
We have plenty of yeses.
Wow, I am so happy. I tell you, I'm so happy.
Dr.
I'm so
Anju,
happy.
let
Yes.
me interrupt you. You
Yes,
know,
please,
the chat box is flooded with yeses and, the messages. First of all, give me an opportunity to, appreciate all the attendees. Guys, you have been
Absolutely.
awesome. And, I haven't seen
Absolutely.
such a participating audience till date. Thank you so much.
I am
Please hang
so
on. Please stay
amazed.
there.
Yeah. Hang on. And I'm so amazed. Accept my bow. Not that I will not give it to you one more time towards the end, but accept my bow. And
Yes.
and certainly, I mean, it is the audience that makes a webinar successful, because the webinar is not about the speaker or the moderator. It is about those who are attending. So thank you so much. And we move ahead. How many of you want to test how resilient you are? How many of you want to test how resilient you are? Just key in a yes or a no. So what does the chat box says? Wow, the chat box again says yes. Lovely. Time to go. And we move. While we test the resilience of any person, these are the 5 key dimensions we take care of. While I'm explaining these 5 key dimensions to you one by one, I will request each one of you to rate yourself on all these 5 dimensions on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. And once I am done explaining all these 5 dimensions, I'll request you to enter your response. So your response will be in a manner: self-control 3, adaptability 4, optimism whatever, self-sufficiency whatever, persistence whatever. So you can as well write SC, A, O, SS, P, and then the rating. Am I clear? Can I move ahead? Once you see few yeses, let me know. Once you see few yeses, let me know so that I can move ahead.
Yes.
Great. So I move ahead. The very first dimension which we explore in assessing the resilience of anyone is self-control. Now, what do you mean by self-control? Is it that I have to control my anger every time? Is it that I have to control my laughter every time, my happiness every time? No. Self-control means that you are being aware of what emotion you are experiencing right now. I repeat, you are being aware of what emotion you are experiencing right now. You will maintain composure and act. So what does it mean? It simply means that whatever emotion you are aware that, okay, no, this is the emotion that I'm experiencing right now. Let me acknowledge it. And be it whatever emotion, let me not act without thinking, because the moment I act without thinking, it becomes my reaction, and my reaction might, most probably rather, will not lead to the desired result. I should rather respond. So yes, Self-control comes with self-awareness. Once you know your emotion, you can reach to the genesis of that emotion, that why is this emotion getting triggered, and then plan for what can be done now. So you can very well key in your key, but do not send the answer right now in your respective chat boxes. On SC, what weightage would you like to give? What weightage from 1 to 5 you would like to give to yourself? I leave it on to you, and I move to the second dimension, which is adaptability. Now, adaptability, as the name suggests, it is about the flexibility. It is about being a little innovative. Like in case of Mohan, I said he had never asked for a loan before, but now looking at the conditions, seeing the crunch and paucity, he agreed. He made himself agreed that okay, I will have to ask for loan. So adaptability is something that you have not done before, maybe not because you did not want to, you are maybe closed to doing it. No, I will not do it. Or your situations were like, I can do even without doing thing X. So I have never done it. So for example, I have, I have never done, for example, I have never done, I've never taken a glass of water by myself, but today there is nobody around me. So what to do? I have no other option but to pick up the glass of water by myself, right? And then when there is a financial crisis, so this is another example. When there is a financial crisis, a person high on adaptability will start categorizing the essentials and luxurious expenditure and see what he can do for them. So that's adaptability for you. What can you write in that, please? Self-control, adaptability. Coming to optimism. Optimism is you need to have a realistic outlook for the problem and solution. Hope is a very, very important emotion here. A very simple tool that you can use here is, this is my thought, this is my feeling, and this is the action that I can take here. So I hope you are marking, you are giving yourself weightage on a scale of 1 to 5 to yourself, and I move ahead. I move ahead to self-sufficiency, which means taking stock of your own strength. Do you pause and ponder, and do you take the stock of your own strength? If yes, then you are high on this dimension. If no, then you are low on this dimension. And the last is persistence. Persistence is something that Thomas and Mohan both had shown. Here, you need to fool your brain from veering off. I'm reminded of a mountaineer here. So the mountaineer would say, just when I would want to give up climbing, I will chant, oh, the peak looks so much now, which signals my brain that I'm very near, almost there. I am sure by now you all have given your rating on a scale of 1 to 5 to yourself. Please key in your responses now. Please key in your responses now.
So we are continuously getting this since the time we reached on this slide, Doctor. And we've got plenty of responses.
Okay, so let's pick any one response at random.
Yeah.
Will you help me read that response out?
Yes. So self-control 2.
Okay.
Self-sufficiency 3.
Okay.
P4, persistence 4.
Okay.
Optimism 4.
Okay.
And adaptability 3.
Lovely. So this is a random response you have picked up, wherein SC is 2, adaptability is 3, optimism is 4, and self-sufficiency is 3, and persistence is 4. Not a bad score at all, but if you say the self-control is 2 and the others are 3 and above, somewhere you are fooling yourself. Let's be realistic, because resilience calls for being realistic. If my self-awareness isn't high, if I am not aware of the emotion that I am facing right now, then by no means I can take a control of the situation. So whoever's response is this, I mean, certainly you need not name the person or anything, but a sample of this kind, just to give you a cue, a sample of this kind wherein the self-control is low, whereas all others are 3 and above, one has to be more introspective in order to find out, am I really aware of the emotion that I'm experiencing right now? Okay. Are we all good to move ahead? Are we all excited to move ahead about the second part as to now why is resilience needed? So this was all about the resilience. I will come to the why part before I reframe what resilience is for you. Are we all ready? Are we all excited to move ahead? Let me see if there is a yes or a no. And I'm ready for both, appreciative and brickbats. I'm just ready for both. Feel free.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, 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 yes. Wow. Allow me to paraphrase it for you. Reframing the concept of resilience now, after you know that where you stand on the 5 basic dimensions of resilience, reframing it for you, resilience is a tool which calls upon the human's ability to survive existential hardships and to overcome trauma. It encompasses the individual's capacity to resist hardships and to pursue his personal development despite what he is going through. Resilience is about how you recharge, not how you endure. Firing back, rebounding after disaster. Heavy words, but no. If you look around, people do it. What kind of people do it? People who have the urge and urgency to move ahead. Akshay Kumar, I'm reminded of. He gave 16 flops. The Bollywood hero, today who we call as a superstar, somebody who we look up to, saying that, okay, he is a man who gives messages through his movies. There was a time when he gave 16 flops in a row. He could have simply sat back. He could have simply, cribbed upon and cried upon whatever is happening to him, could have blamed everyone outside, but instead, he brought in the inward, the inside out approach, and he says, what is it that I can do to better things? Certainly, I can work on my acting. Certainly, I can choose better scripts. Maybe I'll have to lower down my fees. Maybe I'll have to work in more shifts than what I'm doing. Maybe I'll have to compromise on my co-stars and the production houses that I'm working. Also, he may have worked some peripheral businesses also in order to have that support system for himself. Do you agree to this? Do you agree to all these changes he might have brought in himself after giving 16 flops in a row and rising to a superstar? How many yeses?
Many yeses,
Many
Dr. Chawla, yeah.
yeses. Many yeses. So I'm so happy to see that we are so looking forward to what resilience is, and if we are resilient enough, what are the 5 dimensions, and on all these dimensions, how much resilient I am, and what can I do? Now, certainly the question in your mind will be, why should I be resilient, and what can I do to be resilient? So let me maneuver the conversation to why is resilience so much needed? Why cannot we do without resilience? Especially in the VUCA world. The world is VUCA: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. It is almost like a movie, Jumanji. You must have watched the movie Jumanji, so you never know which move comes when. And if you're resilient enough, if you know that, okay, this is my starting point now, and these are the resources I'll have to work with, then certainly adaptability, self-sufficiency, self-control, optimism, and persistence, this all will follow. Moving ahead as to why is resilience important? As Simon Sinek once said in his book, in fact, he wrote a fabulous book, which says that whenever you have to start with a why. So why is resilience important? I must know resilience is important because resilient people have a positive image of the future. That is, they maintain a positive outlook and envision brighter days ahead. Resilient people have solid goals and a desire to achieve those goals. So when I say solid, I'm talking about the realistic goals. Resilient people are empathetic and compassionate. For those of you who are not very familiar with these two terms, let me take a pause and explain as to what is empathetic and compassionate. So empathy does not mean crying with a crying soul. Empathy means I understand what you are feeling and this is what I can do for you. That's empathy. So for example, for now, I understand that you are feeling something who is not able to see the speaker, somebody who is not able to enjoy the company of the fellow beings. So what can I as a speaker do? I'll keep asking questions and you are again, you'll have to shake your head and key in your responses. That will give you a feeling of togetherness. That will give you a feeling that despite sitting virtually, you all are connected. We all are connected rather. That's being empathetic. Compassionate is one level up than being empathetic, which means living the pain or joy of the other person. So, NGOs, these people are very, very compassionate about their purposes. Even the companies, when they are into the CSR, or the institutes, when they are into ISR, or the Abraham's Maslow's need hierarchy theory, when moves to self-actualization, the compassion for oneself is exhibited. So that's what compassion is like. I'll repeat the third point for you. Resilient people are empathetic and compassionate. However, they don't waste time worrying what others think of them. They maintain healthy relationships, but don't bow to peer pressure. So if you are resilient, if you have that bouncing back attitude, people might be odd against you. So people might have all the odds for you, but you will prove your point because your clarity, your self-control and optimism towards that point is high. How many of you are able to visualize something around you now? Some situation wherein resilience was needed. How many of you, simply key in a yes, how many of you can visualize a situation wherein this approach called resilience, the ability called resilience was needed?
Yes, so we have plenty of yeses.
Plenty of yeses. Wow, that keeps me going also. I have in Delhi, we have cool breeze flowing, and then the plenty of yeses is like making me go on cloud nine. So thank you so much. We move ahead. Resilient people never think of themselves as victims. They focus their time and energy on changing the things that they have control over. I just used a phrase, they have control over. Now, many a times it happens that we don't have control over certain things. So what do? We'll have to learn to work without those variables, or when those variables are against us. It is like swimming against the tide. But if you have to reach your place, which is opposite to the tide, and you really want to do it, then you'll push your body against the tide. Yes, you'll get tired. Yes, there will be failures. Yes, the water current will pull you, tear you apart. But is your intention to keep going, or is your intention to put the blame on the tide? That is up to you to decide. A resilient person, look around. Hey, yes, how about keying in the names of few people who you visualize as resilient and hence successful? How about keying in the names of people who you find are resilient and hence they are successful? So any names. Can be somebody from your family, can be a celebrity, can be a person who is alive, somebody who is not alive, anything, anyone, I'm sorry.
So we have names like our Prime Minister, Sachin
Lovely.
Tendulkar, Abdul
Okay.
Kalam, Mother
Lovely.
Teresa,
Yeah,
Amitabh
absolutely.
Bachchan, Yuvraj Singh.
Abs
That's an
oh,
interesting one. Yeah,
that's an interesting one. Yes, of course. Yes, Yuvraj Singh also, without a doubt, he had exhibited resilience. I mean, fighting cancer and still coming back with
absolutely.
all oomph, very nice. So yes, I am with all these answers, and and I'm happy that you are able to visualize a picture of resilience in front of you right now. These people, when you're visualizing and you're calling them successful because they were resilient, I'm so happy that you have been able to visualize the power of resilience now. So why should you be resilient is very clearly known to you. But then how can we be resilient? That is $1 million question. Lecturing is very easy. Bringing a why is very easy. But then how can I build that resilience in the crisis? Just like marketing people gave a 4-piece formula from Philip Kotler or from Christopher Lovelock, a 7-piece formula, I'll give you a 7 C's formula to build resilience in crisis, especially in crisis. And that 7 C's of resilience start with control. Any idea what can this control be? Very fast. Please key in. Please key in. We have reached to the last quarter of our hour. Please key in. What can control be in context of resilience?
Emotions, thoughts.
Okay. A control on emotions and thoughts?
Yes, self-control has
Lovely.
come up
Wow.
from many of them.
Very nice.
Control on situation.
Okay. Control on situation. Well, that's again an outward looking approach, because situation has many other variables which I may not be able to control completely. So for example, a power failure I cannot control. Yes, inside approaches I can put an inverter. Now inverter also conks off, which is precisely my condition today. What do? I'll charge my laptop and my mobile phone in advance so that if there is no power even for hours, I can still commit, I can still deliver what I have committed. So yes, control on situation cannot always be 100% possible because that is an outward looking approach. But nonetheless, most of you have answered brilliantly. And here I will say it refers to the self-control part. Not that the uncontrolled variables should be looked away completely, but still understand and acknowledge that things are not, there are variables which are not in my control at all. And that's why it is a crisis situation. Why will I bring crisis onto myself? Then second is competence. So friends, what do you think of competence?
Skill sets.
Lovely.
Self-equipped knowledge.
Brilliant.
Ability to do work.
Wow. So
resourcefulness. That's
awesome.
an important one. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad to know that people are putting in the words from their hands-on experience, and there is nothing bookish coming out. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. That is something which is commendable.
Yes.
So competence is a sum total of attitude, skill, and knowledge, which most of you, if I combine your answers, perhaps this will be the acronym coming up, ASK. And what is ASK? As a competence, you exhibit an attitude. Somebody said positive attitude in one of the previous questions, replying to the previous question. So yes, the attitude, and certainly you need to have skill. And that is why we go to schools, colleges, the vocational courses, etc. Because without skill, if I want to exhibit a competence, that's like building castles in the air, or seeing dreams with open eyes. So I need to have skills and certainly the knowledge. Information is flowing all around me. But in order to, who will be resilient? Who will be the person who will be like very calm-headed, or the crisis is crisis, be it our Prime Minister, be it Amitabh Bachchan, or be it anyone. Crisis is crisis. But if I'm resilient, which means that if I have the attitude, the skill, and the knowledge to fight this crisis, then only I can be resilient. So I need to have all the three things. So a question may pop up. What if I do not have the skill? Or what if I do not have the knowledge? What if I do not have the attitude? If you do not have the attitude, certainly being resilient is impossible. You need to develop the attitude, because even attitude cannot be outsourced. Skill, it can be learned. Not that attitude cannot be changed, but if somebody has an attitude, no, I know it all, and whatever is possible, I am doing it. Nobody else can do anything better than this. So it is something like finding out a mistake in the spelling loop, and the person says, no, you have misspelled the word loop. Why? Because you have placed the first O instead of the second O. Come on. You need to have that attitude to find out what are my resources. Skills can be learned, knowledge can be outsourced. attitude is very important as a part of competence. We move to the third C, which is coping. What is your take on this C, coping? Very
Overcoming.
nice. Very nice. So yes, coping is whatever it is now it is. So I have to be realistic and I really have to move ahead. So as I said, my power has failed, my inverter has conked off. So uh, what do? I'll have to cope up with it. And how do I cope up with it? By putting in my resources together. Okay, what are the resources? I have resource A, resource B, and then which one do I use? So yes, that's coping. How about confidence? Do we really need some, some inputs on confidence, or are we all clear with what confidence is? So just key in a yes or no.
Clear. Yes.
Clear. So yes, confidence is all about, okay, these are my strengths and this is how I will work about it. Instead of playing on my areas of improvement, I will rather play on my strength. Areas of improvement, I will acknowledge and try to work upon. And that is how confidence will come in me. Then comes connection. What is your take on connection with respect to resilience? How can connection be one element of the formula?
So support,
Very nice, very nice.
networking,
Lovely, lovely.
co-creating. That's an interesting one.
Very interesting. Right. So connection, it's like networking. It's like co-creation, collaboration. Just like in the story of Mohan, he had connection in one of the acquaintance, and that is how he could ask for a loan. Imagine if there was nobody in his acquaintance who was wealthy enough to land him loan. You think he would have been able to be that resilient, that this swiftly? Perhaps no. Then yes, not that he wouldn't have thought of other things. He might have approached the bank, or he might have asked an acquaintance of an acquaintance, but that's a far story, and that's a real example. So something that I shared is not a made up story. That's a real example. um, I move to the next part, which is character. How do you think character, so my question, please listen to my question here, how do you think character can make a person resilient?
So we have being strong in terms of values.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically the behavior exhibited.
Very nice. So a
Attitude
person,
has come with
oh,
a very
okay,
large
in
response.
large number,
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely. Hmm. So certainly character is the manifestation of your attitude, I mean, without a doubt, because attitude is something which is within me, owing to what I have learned in these years, and what I was exposed to, what I was taught either willfully or accidentally. So that's my attitude. And how do I manifest it outside? It is through my character and my behavior, of course. So yes, a person which has valued character, a character with values, a clarity on what is right and what is wrong. So that certainly makes you more resilient. It is like people say, no, when I sleep in the night, I want to get a sound sleep without a panic, without any panic that, oh, I have done wrong to somebody. So similarly here, whatever effort we are putting in to bounce back, to be resilient, it has to come from from our code of conduct, which is a set of do's and don'ts. So I must be clear on what is my don't and what is my do, and that's how my character gets built. Contribution, very, very important. How do you think contribution is one important element of resilience?
So we have a few responses like the actions we take,
Mm-hmm.
helping others, the way someone
Absolutely.
reacts to a particular situation.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
So very important contribution of myself to myself is my narrative. What is the narrative that I am running in my head when I am facing a crisis situation? I may face a financial crisis, a health crisis, maybe at times knowledge crisis. But does that mean I keep running a narrative like, oh, what do I do now? Oh, I wish I had learned this skill long back. Oh, this, oh, that. No, the narrative can most probably be, all right, this is the scenario. What can I do now? How soon do I need to overcome this crisis? Can I be all by myself to overcome this crisis, or should I take help from my connections? And how can I contribute to this settling of this crisis? What do I have? It is like staying in hostel, and one of your friend is running out of money to gift something to his sister, or let's say brother, on his or her wedding. What do? You all check in your pocket. Acha, I have 100 rupees. Okay, I have 500. I have 200. All right. Can I give all the 100? No. If I give all the 100, then I'll be in a fix. Then who will I ask money for? So okay, 80 is what I can give. So my contribution can be 80. But can somebody who is not willing to contribute be resilient? Think about it. A person who is not willing to contribute to himself. Forget about other people contributing you. That was just an analogy of a hostler. If you are not ready to contribute to yourself, do you think you'll be able to resiliate? You'll be able to get that resilience, or you will simply be stuck in a situation? What do you think?
So most of the responses are no. Few
Absolutely.
have come as, maybe kind of.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So those of you who say maybe, contribution is an important element to be resilient. Contribution in what? Contribution in my thought process, contribution in changing my narrative, contribution in figuring out what resources do I have and how can I put them to the best use. Having said that, I ask you a question that anyone who is not clear on any of the C, please key in that C. We are almost towards the end of the session. Anyone who is not clear on how to become resilient? Any of the C which is not clear?
Coping, if you can just come again.
Sure. So when I say coping and endurance, these are two different things. Endurance is tolerating, but when I say coping, it is the mechanism of resolving things. Okay, I have a conflict with my boss and I do not have any other job opportunity in hand. So what do I do? Coping mechanism here comes at play. If I shout at him every day, fight with him every day, perhaps the second day he'll say, okay, get out. But since I know that I am in a financial crisis and I do not have any other backup plan, how do I cope up? Please answer. How will you cope up? If this person was you, how will you cope?
Uh,
Okay.
Making the way out,
Okay. Talking it out maybe.
talking it out, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Talking it out maybe.
Yeah.
Or practicing a gratitude kind of a thing. Okay, the boss is bad, but at least the job is good. The other people are not bad at all. I'm learning
Yeah.
and I am getting that salary check towards the end. So these are my coping mechanisms. So instead of simply drawing a line that, oh, what has happened to me? How will I come out? Let me figure out what are my coping mechanisms. Clear now? Any other C that you would want me to repeat before I move to the summary of the session?
A small brief on connection, one
Sure,
doubt I saw somewhere. Yeah.
sure. So, my dear friend, when I say connection as an important element of being resilient, connection is like support. In my summary slide, you will get your clear answer. But since you have asked the question, it is my duty to answer it. That connection makes you resilient because then you know that, okay, I can depend upon this ecosystem, this support system, or these people, or these resources. If there is no connection at all, that means you have no networking, or the resources which you thought are available are no more there, and you can't even get them, or you can't even procure them. Then your intensity to become resilient will lower down on either of the 5 dimensions that we just talked about, which is self-control, self-sufficiency, adaptability, persistence, and optimism. I am moving ahead. I'm moving to the summary slide now, which will answer any unanswered question. So the summarized action points is what I have labeled this slide as. When the events are unexpected, that is, a crisis situation needs your resilience. Focus on what can be done now and how. You may ask for your family support. You may get the outsourced help. You may upgrade yourself. You may increase your comfort zone by pushing the boundaries. How do you increase your comfort zone? So let's say if I'm not used to of the virtual platforms to deliver the training, now I'm getting used to of it and I'm making this also as my comfort zone. Certainly resistance comes. I'm not saying anything will come easy, but if my intention is to resiliate, if my intention is to bounce back, I will in my all capability learn this as well and increase my comfort zone. Coming out of my comfort zone, these are two different things. Put your head down and do whatever it takes now. Use probability theory to calm yourself of going right versus wrong. So, going wrong, if you are unplanned is high, but if you are planned, if your resources are well planned now because your intention is to bounce back, then the probability of going things in the right direction is higher. May not be absolute, but higher. Don't misuse your imagination, which means, what if this happens, then what will I do? Oh, if this goes wrong, then what will I do? All right, hold on. Nothing has gone wrong so far. Whatever had to go wrong has gone wrong. Now let me do what I can do. Unplanned change certainly isn't planned, isn't it? How many of you can complain about it? Oh, this was such an unplanned change. It is a crisis because it was an unplanned change. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a crisis. It would have been a cakewalk. Hold on to what you have because life is beautiful. So with this, I end my delivery to the wonderful audience who gave me so many inputs. And thank you so much, my moderator friend. You have been very, very kind in supporting me by being my eyes. So over to you.
My pleasure, Dr. Chawla. We would like to take a few questions, a few
Mhm.
interesting ones, I would say, right?
Yeah, please.
Uh, what about overconfidence? There may be a
Yes,
thin line difference between overconfidence and confidence. How do
absolutely.
we differentiate it?
Brilliant question, brilliant question. So here we say that the study of pattern, the study of your behavioral pattern and the result that you got after exhibiting that behavior will decide whether are you overconfident or confident. So it is like a child who studies in class 5th and says, oh, exam has gone fantastically well. Very nice, very nice. The result comes and he has just secured maybe 60 or 55. Okay, for this one time, okay, let it go. Maybe maybe something else went wrong. Now the second time again, throughout the year you're observing him and he says this is the same for employee also. So throughout the year you're observing him and he says, oh, everything is going fantastic. Term one result comes and again he is like 60, 65. What is it? You are giving him resources to study. You are ensuring that he gets his tuition, his books. You are giving him time. You are giving him all the possible stationery. You are not asking him to work anything else but concentrate on his studies. And he also says that, oh, exam went off very well. He comes back very, very happy, cheerful. What is going wrong? It is the overconfidence. Same happens with the employees. When you are briefing somebody and he says, oh, don't worry, sir, I'll do it. Come on, ask him, are we on the same page about the resources? Or have you just turned a blind eye towards the scarcity of resources? I hope I have answered the question, if that helps you. Are we there? Are we connected?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I have
No, I'm
lost it at
sorry.
the tailing end.
No. So,
Okay.
can coping be surrendering to a situation as we might not have a control over it?
Okay, so coping mechanisms have got various dimensions to it. Certainly, surrendering is not always bad. I take example of chess here. It is the pawns which are fighting in the front line and they don't turn back. Whereas all the elite class does not mind moving back and then moving ahead. So at times, surrendering is also a mechanism. There is no harm in it, provided you have some backup support. So if I'm surrendering, if I'm making up, no, if I'm surrendering one of my pawn, I should have some backup at the back. Okay, if this goes wrong, I'll attack with my horse now. I hope that answers or it helps a little.
Yeah, should be.
Okay,
Maybe the last one.
sure.
What place has being rebellious in resilience?
Being rebellious in resilience. All right.
Yeah.
Well, my dear friend, please do not confuse my saying that you have to come up with your point very, very clearly and candidly with assertion versus being a rebel. A rebel may be a resilient person, and I'll have to be politically correct here because there is again a probability. So a rebel can be a resilient. It will very much depend upon the result that comes towards the end. But having said that, being a rebel is not an essential criterion of being resilient. I hope that helps.
Okay. Right. I think Dr. Anju, grateful to you. And we, of course, would like to take a bow to the wonderful audience we've had today.
Absolutely, absolutely. I so wish I had some kind of a clapping sound in the background. So next time when we connect, we must have that clapping sound also in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah,
No?
yeah. No, let us, we both of us can clap, no?
Absolutely. Yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Great. So with this, on behalf of Dr. Reddy's, I thank our speaker, Dr. Anju Chawla, and all you wonderful participants for taking time out. And we wish all your days be full of energy, positivity, and good health, because good health can't wait. Your host, Surbit Sharma, signing off. Thank you so much.